If you're looking for the best ways to market a small business, then you've come to the right video. My name is Tobey from Training Business Pros, and I'm going to be talking about the ways that I help small business market their businesses, not just my own, but the hundreds of businesses that I act as an executive consultant for, and all of the businesses that I've trained over the last 15 years. There are some things you absolutely need to know. You can count on every single one of these strategies. Stick around to the end. You're going to want to hear them all. Let's get going. Okay, let's talk about small business marketing. So whatever business you have, I'm sure there are specific things that type of business does that other businesses do not. In this video, I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on the things that work for all small businesses because I've worked with many different types of small business, from event rental companies through to realtors, through to self-employed accountants and everything in between. So here are the things that I absolutely know you can count on. There's 10 of them. Let's get going. Number one, build a mailing list. You absolutely need a mailing list, digital, and you need to follow up with people as much as you can. Short-term nurture, long-term nurture. Make sure you're making the most out of your CRM. In fact, if you want to know exactly how to make the most out of your CRM, I'm going to post a link up here. You can go watch that video. And it's quite detailed on how to use your CRM properly and effectively. Let's move on to number two. When you're using your mailing list, you've got to use something called the 7-step client value optimizer system. It's essentially moving people up the value ladder from free or lead magnet to tripwire to core product to profit maximizer. And it's a system that you can count on to absolutely get people to buy your products and services over time. Now, they may not be ready to buy the profit maximizer today, but they will be one day, and that's why you need a good CRM to continue to follow up with them. So if you want more information on that video, ask some questions below, and maybe I'll make a video about the 7-step client value optimizer system. I think that would be a great idea, but you got to let me know whether you want that or not. All right, let's move on to number three. Once you have your CRM in place and you start to build a mailing list, how do you grow that mailing list? I think the first answer for most businesses would be Google Ads, and we're talking about search ads. Why? Because it gets people in the moment where they're searching for something. I don't particularly like display ads for this, and I don't like other forms of advertising for this. I like Google Ads because people use Google to find what they want. And if you show up in a search, let's say the top 4 searches for paid ads, then that's going to work. Of course, SEO strategy is always good, but it's a long-term game. Typically, most people don't know much about that. And if you were to hire me to do SEO for your company, that would be quite the investment. It does work. But in the interim, get some Google Ads working and make them very specific. Show your ad for a very specific leaf topic that people are actually searching for. Right? Don't be broad. Be very specific about answering their question or giving them exactly what they're looking for. Okay, so number 4. I think Facebook ads are great. Try Facebook lead ads. They're a little bit more in your face. When people go to your Facebook ad, they click on a link for more information and a form pops up and they fill the form out right in Facebook. I think that's good. It gets a lot of leads. The quality of the leads is a little bit suspect, but like I say, you're getting a lot of them. And so with your CRM, you can start to weed out the people that are not that interested versus the ones that are and move them to an appointment. First phone, and then maybe in person. So Facebook lead ads are great. I just worked with a realtor the other day. We're getting Facebook leads at about $3 to $4 per lead. I'm working also with a financial advisor right now. We're getting Facebook lead ads going and working there as well. And so what I would suggest is, if you don't know what that is, take a look at Facebook lead ads and see if that's going to work for your company. I believe that it will, regardless of the company that you're running. All right, let's move on to number 5. Let's do some remarketing. Remarketing means that if they've been to your website or they've seen other instances of your properties online, then we're going to remarket to them in Facebook. And you can do this a couple of ways. It's based on whether they visited specific pages on your website, or you can upload a customer list to Facebook, and every email address that reconciles with a Facebook email address, you can start to remarket to that. And you can also choose a lookalike audience because Facebook I think it's somewhat okay within 1%. So if you have a list of say 20,000 people, you can expand that to 1 million people, which is like a 1% lookalike audience. Okay, so Facebook remarketing, I think that's a great strategy. Let's move on to number 6. In your business, over time, you want to create what's known as a series of imaginative events. So whatever you decide to do in terms of marketing that's outside of the online world, and quite frankly, you can do it online as well, but you got to be really imaginative online because there's a lot of competition there. So perhaps in your community or whatever you're doing, think about events that you can do, that you can either sponsor and that you can participate in to make your company stand out a little bit. For example, at some trade shows that we've done some pretty crazy things at trade shows, which tends to attract a lot of interest because, of course, it's different, it's fun, it's exciting. Okay, so think about that. Just plant in your head, what can I do that's imaginative, that's going to make my business stand out among other businesses? Number 7, video marketing. Now, I totally get that video marketing on this particular channel is relatively new. In fact, we're just getting going. So you might see certain videos get 4 views and 5 views. That's because they're new and we haven't built up enough steam yet. But on other channels that I've done, like jazzmental.com, things are moving along much more quickly. And if you invest some time and effort into creating videos, you become what's known as a subject matter expert. And that means that people are getting to know you, they're listening to your advice, and they're perhaps subscribing to your channel for more information. And then the goal is to create leads, get them over into your funnel, and start marketing to them that way. I love video marketing because it's a more personalized way of talking and communicating with potential audiences. All right, let's move on to number 8. Not sure if you've thought about this before, but some of the ways that we market small business is we do what's called podcasts. We guest on certain podcast channels. Now, there's a lot of websites or aggregator websites that are set up to connect you to podcasters. And the reason why it works is because they're always looking for content, but they have a built-in audience that you don't necessarily have. So for example, if you're marketing a new piece of software, or if you want to market something that you do that you feel is unique and it's worth a discussion, then you just reach out to these podcasters. Typically, they're not going to pay you, but you're getting some airtime in front of their audience. And because they're posting that video, not just live, but in the archives, then people are watching them on an ongoing basis. And it does actually work really, really well because as soon as they start asking you questions, the audience perceives you as, like I say, a subject matter expert, as somewhat of an influencer, and you can piggyback on the audience that that podcaster has already created. Now, if you can expand that to radio shows and television, that would be even better. I wish you well on that journey. I've never been really successful at doing television. I've done a lot of radio interviews in my time. But again, if you're just starting out and you're just looking for ways to market your business, that might not be in the cards just yet. But podcasters, yes, connect with them. That's going to help you a lot. Number 9, build a social media channel. Pick one and spend all of your time and focus on that one channel. If you try to do everything, you're trying to Facebook post and Instagram and Twitter and YouTube and everything, it's just going to drain you and it's not going to be as effective as if you tried to build an audience in one channel. So I would suggest, hey, if you know who your target market is and you know where they're hanging out, pick that social media channel, build up a following there, and it should really serve you well. Depends on what you post, but you have to interact and you have to be part of the conversation, not just shout outs. Okay, let's go to the last one. Number 10, I love trade shows. Trade shows work for every business because there's a trade show that was made just for businesses like yours. You got to seek them out. You have to find them. Yes, they're a bit of an investment, but again, you're buying a built-in audience. For example, pick a trade show that has 2,000 to 10,000 guests or even more, and spend the money because that's what people go to trade shows for. They go to connect and learn and find things that they need. So for example, if you're a marketer, you show up at a trade show and you do marketing different than everybody else, that conversation will lead to some new business. So regardless of what you do, I'm sure there's a trade show for you. So please go and seek those out. So those are my top 10 list of strategies that are good for pretty much every small business. If you want to know or ask me about a particular strategy that you think might work, all you have to do is post that question below and I'll answer it with another video. So for example, let's say you're thinking, oh, I want to go and do Television advertising, is that a good idea for this business? I will probably say no because I've done that before for other businesses. And I really haven't had a lot of TV wins based on limited budgets. Now, if you have a massive budget, that's a good thing. And maybe you can connect with me about that. All right. Thanks for your time. I hope to see you in another video.